Welcome back to NextGen Audiobook, the space where we turn mindset into mastery and thoughts into wealth. Today, we're diving into 7 powerful chapters that reveal how to attract and multiply money effortlessly. Stay with me until the end, because the final chapter holds the secret that unlocks the flow of abundance. Chapter 1. Money begins in the mind. Before money ever appears in your wallet, your account, or your business, it begins in your mind. Every financial result you experience today is a reflection of your thoughts, your beliefs, and your emotional relationship with money. Most people think money is purely about hard work, numbers, or luck. But the truth is deeper. Your inner world creates your outer wealth. Think of your mind as a fertile field. The thoughts you plant today will grow into the financial reality you experience tomorrow. If you constantly tell yourself, "I can't afford that," or "money is hard to earn," you're planting seeds of limitation. Those thoughts quietly shape your actions. You hesitate to take opportunities, you avoid risks, you underprice your skills, and you settle for less. Over time, your outer life begins to mirror that scarcity mindset. But the opposite is also true. When you believe that money flows to you because you create value, because you serve others, because you deserve abundance, your energy shifts. You start thinking creatively, spotting opportunities where others see problems. You act with confidence, you make bolder decisions, and you naturally attract the people and resources that help you grow. We often underestimate how powerful our thoughts are. Science and psychology have shown that our beliefs shape our behavior, our body language, and even our energy. When you believe something is possible, your brain starts finding ways to make it real. This is not magic, it's mindset. It's the way successful people train their thoughts to align with their goals. If you study wealthy individuals, you'll notice they think very differently about money. They don't see it as something they chase, they see it as something they create. They understand that money is a result, not the goal. It's the byproduct of ideas, action, and service. Their belief system supports abundance, not fear. They believe opportunities are everywhere, and that mindset allows them to recognize and seize them quickly. Most people are held back by subconscious beliefs formed in childhood. Maybe you heard phrases like, "money doesn't grow on trees," "rich people are greedy," or "we can't afford that." Over time, those words become invisible mental blocks that shape how you think as an adult. You might want wealth, but deep down, part of you feels guilty for desiring it, or afraid of what people will think if you have it. Until you reprogram those old beliefs, your financial growth will always feel like a struggle. Changing that begins with awareness. Start noticing your internal dialogue about money. How do you react when you see someone successful? Do you feel inspired or envious? When you receive money, do you feel grateful or guilty? These subtle emotions reveal your deeper beliefs. Once you become aware, begin to shift those thoughts consciously. Instead of saying, "I can't afford it," reframe it to, "How can I afford it?" That single shift moves your brain from helplessness to creativity. Instead of saying, "Money is hard to earn," try, "Money comes to me easily because I provide value." These are not just affirmations, they are new mental programs you're installing. Over time, your subconscious begins to accept them as truth. You can also strengthen your money mindset by surrounding yourself with positive influences. Read books about financial growth, listen to success stories, and spend time with people who uplift you. Energy is contagious. If you're always around people who complain about lack, that vibration rubs off on you. But if you engage with people who think in terms of solutions and possibilities, you naturally begin to think bigger too. Remember, your thoughts don't instantly create money. They create the mindset that leads to better decisions. When you believe abundance is possible, you begin acting like someone who attracts it. You plan differently, you negotiate confidently, and you look for ways to grow instead of just survive. So make your mind your most valuable asset. Feed it with empowering ideas, guard it from negativity, and train it to focus on growth. Think of your beliefs as the foundation of your financial house. If that foundation is weak, everything built on top of it will eventually crumble. But when your foundation is strong, abundance can stand tall and steady. Action step. Every morning before you start your day, take 1 minute to center your thoughts and say aloud, "My mind is a magnet for opportunities and abundance." Say it slowly, with belief. Picture yourself surrounded by possibilities, by people who appreciate your value, and by money flowing toward you because of the positive impact you create. Over time, this small practice rewires your brain. You'll start noticing new ideas, new chances, and new connections that seem to appear effortlessly. It's not coincidence, it's clarity. Your thoughts have shifted, and so has your energy. When your thinking expands, your financial reality follows, because every rupee, every opportunity, every success you experience begins first in the quiet, powerful space of your own mind. Chapter 2. Energy is currency. Align it with abundance. Money is more than paper, metal, or numbers on a screen. At its core, money is energy, a reflection of how you give, receive, and circulate value. It moves toward people who are in energetic alignment with it, and it quietly avoids those who repel it with fear, doubt, or resistance. Think about it this way. Every thought you think, every emotion you feel, and every action you take emits a certain vibration. When you are grateful, confident, generous, and calm, your energy is open and inviting. But when you feel anxious, desperate, or resentful, your energy becomes heavy and closed off. Money responds to these frequencies, even if you're not consciously aware of it. Have you ever noticed how some people seem to attract opportunities effortlessly? They walk into a room and good things happen. They make connections easily, clients seem drawn to them, and their ideas take off quickly. That's not luck, that's energy alignment. Their internal frequency matches the vibration of abundance. On the other hand, some people constantly struggle no matter how hard they work. They save, they grind, they push, but life always feels like an uphill battle. They may not realize it, but their inner energy filled with fear, scarcity, or frustration is sending out mixed signals. It's like trying to tune into a radio station but being slightly off frequency. The message gets distorted. When your energy is aligned with abundance, you don't chase money, you attract it. The right people, ideas, and opportunities naturally find you. You feel calm about finances instead of fearful. You make confident decisions instead of desperate ones. And because you're relaxed and focused, you notice doors that others overlook. So, how do you align your energy with abundance? It starts with awareness. Observe how you feel when you think about money. Do you feel light and hopeful, or tense and anxious? Your emotional reaction is a direct indicator of your energy. If you constantly worry about bills or complain about prices, that energy reinforces lack. The universe mirrors what you focus on. When you focus on shortage, you attract more situations that confirm it. When you focus on possibility, you attract opportunities that expand it. To shift your energy, start by changing your emotional state before making financial decisions. Never budget, invest, or negotiate from fear. Take a few deep breaths, calm your mind, and remind yourself that money flows through you, not just to you. You are part of a larger exchange of value and energy. A simple daily habit can help. Begin each morning with 3 minutes of alignment. Sit quietly, close your eyes, and visualize yourself surrounded by abundance. Not just money, but opportunities, ideas, health, and supportive relationships. Feel appreciation for what you already have. Gratitude raises your vibration instantly, opening you to receive more. Another powerful technique is to speak in the energy of abundance. Instead of saying, "I'm broke," or "I can't afford that," try, "I'm choosing to prioritize differently right now." Words carry energy, and the language of abundance always leaves room for possibility. The more you speak from confidence, the more confident you feel, and the more your actions align with wealth. Also, pay attention to how you spend and give. When you pay someone, do it with a sense of appreciation, not loss. Say to yourself, "I'm grateful for this exchange. This money is circulating and will return to me multiplied." This small shift transforms spending into a positive, energetic act instead of a fearful one. Remember, energy alignment isn't about ignoring reality. It's about changing the emotional foundation beneath it. You can acknowledge financial challenges while still choosing to stay calm and proactive. When you manage your energy, your circumstances begin to respond differently. Here's something important. Abundance is not just about money. It's a state of being. It's when you feel open, connected, and capable. When you radiate that state, people trust you more, want to collaborate with you, and naturally gravitate toward you. That's how opportunities expand through energetic confidence. Your energy also influences your creativity and productivity. When you operate from fear, your mind contracts, ideas dry up, motivation disappears, and small problems feel overwhelming. But when you operate from abundance, your mind expands. You start thinking of solutions, finding new ways to create value, and taking inspired action. So, your job is not to get energy, you already have it. Your job is to align it. Keep your emotions clean, your thoughts empowering, and your words intentional. The more your inner energy feels abundant, the more the outer world reflects that abundance back to you. Action step. Take 5 minutes each morning to align your energy. Breathe deeply, visualize money and opportunities flowing through your life, and repeat this affirmation slowly. My energy attracts prosperity. I am in harmony with abundance, and it flows easily through me. If you practice this consistently, you'll begin to notice subtle shifts, unexpected opportunities, supportive people, sudden ideas, and even financial breakthroughs that seem to appear out of nowhere. That's the power of alignment. Money is simply a mirror that reflects your internal vibration. When you feel abundant, you draw abundance. When you trust the flow, you become part of it. Energy is your true currency, and once you learn to align it, wealth begins to flow effortlessly in every area of your life. Chapter 3. Learn to circulate, not accumulate. One of the biggest misconceptions about money is that wealth comes from holding on to it. Many people believe that the more they save, the richer they'll become. But in truth, money isn't meant to sit still. It's meant to move, to circulate, to create value and growth. When you think of money as something to hoard or protect, you create resistance. You're telling the universe that you don't trust the flow of abundance, that once money leaves, it's gone forever. But the truth is, money works like water. If you dam it up and never let it flow, it grows stagnant. When you allow it to move, to circulate with purpose and positivity, it becomes a living current that nourishes everything it touches, including you. Look around at nature. Everything that thrives circulates. Rivers flow, blood circulates, air moves, energy exchanges. When things stop moving, they decay. The same principle applies to money. Stagnant money is wasted potential. Circulating money builds life, opportunity, and abundance. That doesn't mean you should spend carelessly. Circulation is not the same as consumption. The difference lies in intention. When you circulate money, you spend or invest it consciously with trust and purpose. When you consume money unconsciously, you drain it through fear, impulse, or ego. For example, when you invest in your learning, your health, or your business, you're circulating money. You're putting it to work so it grows and comes back multiplied. When you pay someone for their services with appreciation instead of resentment, you're circulating positive energy. That act strengthens the entire cycle of abundance. But when you cling to every penny, when you're afraid to invest, when you refuse to give even a small amount out of fear of losing it, you interrupt the flow. That fear tells money, you're not safe here. And, like any energy, money goes where it's welcomed, appreciated, and allowed to move. Think about this. Wealthy people don't just make money, they move money. They spend strategically, they invest wisely, they donate generously, and they always keep the flow alive. They understand that holding too tightly limits growth. Every rupee, every dollar, every bit of energy they release into the world with purpose eventually returns multiplied. There's a simple, energetic truth. What you give expands. When you give with a mindset of lack, you deplete yourself. When you give with a mindset of abundance, you amplify your wealth. This is why generosity is so powerful, not just as an act of kindness, but as an act of alignment. Here's something you can start practicing today. Every time you spend money, whether it's paying a bill, buying groceries, or investing in something meaningful, do it with gratitude. Instead of saying, there goes more money, say, I'm grateful I have the ability to pay for this. That shift in emotion changes the entire vibration of the transaction. You're telling the universe, I trust the flow. I'm part of the cycle. Over time, that mindset attracts more opportunities, more income, and more ease. Why? Because you're no longer resisting money's natural movement. You've become part of the circulation, the same way the ocean never worries about losing water, because it knows the tide always returns. This principle applies not only to spending, but also to generosity. When you give to others, whether through time, energy, or money, do it with love and trust. Give because you want to, not because you feel obligated. True generosity activates a powerful energetic law. When you help others rise, you rise too. Of course, balance matters. Circulation doesn't mean giving everything away or avoiding saving. It means allowing money to move through you intelligently. You save with purpose, you invest with intention, and you spend with awareness. Every rupee you direct becomes a messenger of your energy, and how you send it determines what returns to you. Let's make this real. Imagine two people. The first saves every penny, terrified of losing it. They avoid risks, opportunities, and even small joys. Their money grows slowly, if at all, and life feels tight. The second person also saves, but they invest in themselves, learn new skills, support others, and circulate money into things that grow. They trust the process, and their wealth expands. The difference isn't luck, it's flow. Remember, when you circulate money, you're not losing it, you're participating in its movement. That flow creates more wealth, not less. The same energy you release with faith returns multiplied, because money loves motion. Action step. From today, practice mindful circulation. When you spend or invest, pause and say quietly, "As I give, I grow. As I circulate, I receive more." Feel it, mean it. Notice how your energy shifts from fear to freedom. Over time, this small habit will change the way money responds to you. The lesson is simple but profound. Money doesn't like to be trapped. It loves to move, to create, and to expand. When you allow it to circulate freely through your life, you become part of the great current of abundance that never runs dry. Chapter 4. Build skills that compound. If you want to multiply money effortlessly, stop chasing income and start building skills that multiply themselves. Money doesn't grow by accident, it grows through value. And the way to create more value in the world is by continuously developing the skills that make you valuable. Think of your skills as seeds. When you plant them, water them, and let them mature over time, they start bearing fruit. The more useful, rare, or in-demand your skills are, the more valuable your time becomes, and that's how wealth begins to compound. You've probably heard of compound interest, where money earns interest on top of interest, growing faster with time. Skills work the same way, but even more powerfully. When you develop one skill, it amplifies another, and over time they start feeding each other in ways you couldn't predict. That's the secret of exponential growth. It's not about working harder, but about becoming smarter and more capable. Let's take an example. Imagine you're good at communication. That one skill alone can make you more effective in business, better at leadership, and more persuasive in sales. Add to that a skill like marketing or financial literacy, and suddenly your opportunities multiply. Each skill enhances the others. You don't just double your value, you multiply it. This is what successful people do differently. They don't depend on a single skill. They build skill stacks, combinations of abilities that compound together. It's why someone with average intelligence but diverse, well-developed skills can outperform someone with raw talent but narrow expertise. Now, here's the beautiful part. Skills compound faster than money. You can lose money and earn it back. But once you've built skills, no one can take them from you. They stay with you for life, and they keep creating opportunities long after the initial effort is over. Let's make this practical. The first step is to identify which skills create the highest leverage in your life. Leverage means a small effort that leads to big results. Skills that multiply your time, increase your income, or expand your reach are high leverage skills. Some examples include communication. The ability to speak, write, and present clearly opens doors in every field. Sales and persuasion. Whether you're selling products, services, or ideas, persuasion is profit. Financial literacy. Understanding how money works allows you to make it grow instead of watching it disappear. Digital and technical skills. In today's world, knowing how to use technology effectively can double your productivity. Creativity and problem solving. These skills allow you to see opportunities others miss. Start small. Pick one skill and commit to learning it deeply. Read books, watch tutorials, take a course, or learn directly from people who've mastered it. But here's the key: don't just learn for the sake of learning. Apply what you learn immediately. Knowledge compounds only when it's practiced. Most people stop at the stage of information. They consume content endlessly, podcasts, videos, books, but never implement it. Implementation is where compounding begins. Every time you use a new skill in real life, it becomes stronger, faster, and more natural. Over time, the results start to accelerate. What took you 5 hours once now takes you 1. What was once a struggle becomes effortless. This is compounding in motion: small, consistent effort producing massive results. And here's another layer. As your skills grow, your confidence expands. You begin to trust yourself more, you make better decisions, and you take smarter risks. The world rewards confidence, but genuine confidence comes only from competence. The more you know and apply, the more unshakable you become. It's also important to remember that learning is not just for your career, it's for your mindset. Each new skill rewires how you think. It keeps your mind sharp, creative, and open. The moment you stop learning, you start limiting what's possible for you. So instead of asking, "How can I make more money?" start asking, "What skill can I learn that will make me more valuable?" Money will always follow value, and value always follows growth. Action step. Choose one high-impact skill you want to master this year. Break it into small, consistent actions. 30 minutes a day is enough. Track your progress weekly, and focus on application, not perfection. Over the months, that one skill will open doors you didn't even know existed. When you combine learning with patience and consistency, something magical happens. Your efforts start multiplying on their own. Opportunities find you. People notice you. Money begins to flow naturally. That's the power of compounding, not just in wealth, but in wisdom. Every skill you build today becomes a bridge to greater freedom tomorrow. Chapter 5. Respect. Every rupee manage before you multiply. Before you can multiply money, you must first learn how to manage it. This may sound simple, but it's one of the most overlooked principles of wealth. Many people dream of earning more, doubling their income, winning the lottery, or finding that one big break, yet they struggle to handle the money they already have. They think earning more will fix their problems. But here's the truth. More money doesn't solve bad money habits. It magnifies them. Wealth begins not with how much you earn, but with how you manage what you earn. Even a small income, managed wisely, can grow into abundance. But a large income, managed poorly, will disappear faster than you imagine. Money is energy. And like any energy, it needs direction. When you give money structure, it respects you. When you handle it carelessly, it leaves you. So before you try to attract more wealth, learn to be a good caretaker of what you already have. Start with awareness. Most people have no idea where their money goes each month. They earn, they spend, they pay bills, and by the end of the month, they wonder where it all disappeared. The first step to financial mastery is clarity. Track your expenses for at least 30 days, every rupee, every coffee, every online subscription. Not to judge yourself, but to understand your patterns. Awareness brings control. You cannot change what you don't measure. Once you know where your money is going, create a simple plan. One of the easiest and most effective methods is the 70-20-10 rule. 70% of your income for living expenses, your daily needs, rent, food, and essentials. 20% for savings and future goals, your safety net, your peace of mind. 10% for investments, money that works for you instead of you working for it. If you can't start with these exact percentages, adjust them. Even saving 5% or investing 2% is better than zero. What matters most is consistency. As your income grows, increase your saving and investing portions first, not your spending. The key is to develop respect for every rupee. When you treat money carelessly, it slips away. But when you value it, track it, and assign it purpose, it starts working for you. Money loves clarity. It needs to know where it's going. This doesn't mean living in fear or being stingy. Managing money is not about restriction, it's about responsibility. It's knowing that every rupee is a potential seed for future growth. Some seeds are meant to be planted, invested, some are meant to be stored, saved, and some are meant to be shared, spent with joy, or given with generosity. Here's another truth. How you handle small amounts determines how you'll handle large ones. If you can manage 1,000 with awareness, you'll easily manage 1,000 later. But if you ignore the small numbers, the large ones will overwhelm you. Financial discipline is a habit, not a number. You'll often hear people say, "When I start earning more, then I'll save." But that day never comes, because saving is not about income, it's about mindset. If you don't respect money now, more money will only increase your chaos. Wealthy people don't save after they spend after they save. They pay themselves first, even if it's a small amount. That simple act sends a message to their subconscious: I value my future. Here's something powerful to remember. Money doesn't change you, it amplifies you. If you are disciplined, more money will amplify your growth. If you're careless, more money will amplify your mistakes. That's why learning to manage before multiplying is essential. Managing money is also about emotional maturity. Many people use money to fill emotional gaps. They spend to feel better, to impress others, or to escape stress. But financial confidence doesn't come from spending. It comes from security, control, and purpose. When you manage your money wisely, you replace anxiety with peace. Action step. This week, sit down with your income and expenses. Create 3 categories: needs, growth, and freedom. Needs include essentials, rent, bills, food, transportation. Growth includes savings, education, or anything that increases your future value. Freedom includes small pleasures, things that make you happy and balanced. Assign a percentage to each category and commit to it for the next 30 days. You'll be amazed at how quickly your sense of control and confidence increases. Remember, financial freedom doesn't start with a big paycheck. It starts with respect. Respect for money, respect for your goals, and respect for yourself. When you learn to manage your resources wisely, you send a message to the universe that you are ready for more. You become the kind of person money trusts, someone who multiplies, not wastes. And that's when abundance truly begins to flow. Chapter 6. Turn your income into assets. One of the most important shifts you can make on your journey to wealth is to move from simply earning money to building assets. Most people spend their entire lives working for money, trading hours for income, believing that the more they earn, the richer they'll become. But that's an illusion. The truth is, income alone never creates freedom. It only sustains you as long as you keep working. If you stop, the income stops too. Real wealth begins the moment your money starts working for you, when your income is transformed into something that grows, multiplies, and continues to generate value, even when you're not around. You see, income is temporary. It depends on your time, your energy, your job, or your business. But an asset is permanent. An asset is anything that puts money into your pocket without demanding your constant effort. It could be an investment, a property, a digital product, a business system, or even intellectual property that continues to bring income long after you've created it. Every rupee you earn gives you a choice: to spend it and see it vanish, or to convert it into something that builds your future. The difference between people who stay stuck and those who become financially free is not how much they earn, but what they do with what they earn. Many people fall into a common trap. As their income grows, their lifestyle expands even faster. They upgrade their phones, cars, and clothes. They spend more to look successful, but in reality, they are trapped in a more expensive version of the same life. Their expenses rise to match their income, leaving no room for growth. Wealthy people, however, play a completely different game. Whenever their income increases, they don't immediately spend more. They first ask themselves, how can I use this extra income to create more income? That single question separates those who accumulate debt from those who accumulate wealth. Turning income into assets begins with discipline. It starts with paying yourself first. Before you pay your bills, before you spend on entertainment or comfort, set aside a portion of your income that is dedicated to building assets. Even if it's just 10% at the beginning, do it consistently. Treat it as non-negotiable. This habit alone changes the direction of your financial life. Most people say they'll save or invest after spending, but that day rarely comes. Life fills every gap you leave open. The secret is to reverse the order. Invest first, spend later. When you start saving and investing regularly, you're not just putting money aside, you're training your mind to think long-term. You begin to see money not as something to be used up, but as a seed. Every rupee becomes a potential worker. Imagine if every rupee you earn is an employee. Some of those employees can be sent out to buy things that bring you comfort. But if all your employees are doing that, none are working to bring in more income. When you invest, you're sending your money out on a mission to earn and bring back more money. Over time, those small investments start producing returns. Those returns are reinvested, creating more growth. This is how financial independence is built quietly, over time, while others are still chasing the next paycheck. Turning income into assets doesn't mean you have to start with huge amounts or complicated investments. You can begin right where you are, with what you have. You could invest in a simple recurring deposit, a mutual fund, or a stock market index fund. You could start a small digital product, a course, an e-book, a service that people pay for even when you're not working. You could invest in learning a new skill that increases your earning potential. Even that skill, once developed, becomes an asset. The principle is simple. Every time money comes in, use a portion of it to buy freedom. Most people use their income to buy things that lose value. The wise use it to buy things that grow in value. It might be real estate, a business, intellectual property, or even an investment in a relationship or partnership that could yield future opportunities. Whatever form it takes, the key idea is this: do not let all your income be consumed. Redirect it toward creation. Over time, these assets begin to form your financial foundation. Your investments earn dividends, your property appreciates, your skills bring higher income, and your systems start generating cash flow. One day, you wake up and realize that even if you stop working for a while, your money keeps coming in. That's when you've reached the first stage of freedom, when your assets can pay for your life. From there, you can scale higher, choosing work for passion, not necessity. But there's a mindset shift that must happen first. You must stop seeing money as something to spend and start seeing it as something to grow. When you buy things that make you look rich, you're actually becoming poorer. When you buy things that make you richer, you can eventually afford everything else effortlessly. The problem is that most people crave the feeling of wealth more than the reality of it. They want to appear successful now instead of building lasting success slowly. Real wealth requires patience. Assets take time to grow, but once they do, they pay you for life. It's also important to remember that your biggest asset isn't a property or a stock, it's you. Your knowledge, your mindset, your discipline, and your creativity are what produce everything else. When you invest in developing yourself, learning about money, mastering your craft, understanding how businesses and markets work, You're building the foundation on which all other assets rest. No economic condition, no job loss, no market change can take that away from you. So the next time you earn money, pause before spending. Ask yourself, how much of this can I turn into an asset? Even a small amount, redirected with intention, can grow into something significant over time. The earlier you start, the more powerful compounding becomes. The goal is not just to earn and spend, but to earn, invest, and multiply. Wealth doesn't come from working harder, it comes from working smarter, and the smartest work you can do is letting your money work for you. Every rupee you convert into an asset becomes a silent partner in your financial journey, quietly multiplying while you live your life. Eventually, your income will no longer depend on your effort. It will depend on the strength of your assets. That's the moment true freedom begins, when time, not money, becomes your greatest wealth. Chapter 7. Gratitude unlocks the flow of wealth. Gratitude is the final key that completes the circle of abundance. If money begins in the mind, flows through your energy, and grows through wise action, gratitude is the force that keeps it all in motion. Without gratitude, even great success feels empty. With it, even small beginnings feel full. The truth is simple but profound. Wealth does not flow to those who chase it desperately. It flows to those who appreciate what they already have. Gratitude turns whatever you touch into enough, and enough is the foundation of abundance. When you are grateful, your energy expands. You shift from focusing on what's missing to seeing what's possible. That mental and emotional shift opens the door for more blessings to enter your life. In a world driven by comparison and consumption, it's easy to forget this truth. We are constantly shown images of more success, more luxury, more possessions. Social media and advertising feed us the idea that happiness lies in what's next. But gratitude brings you back to the present. It teaches you to see that abundance isn't something you chase, it's something you recognize. The more you recognize it, the more it grows. When you live in a state of lack, you vibrate at the frequency of fear. You constantly tell yourself, "I don't have enough," and that message becomes a signal the universe responds to. You attract situations that reinforce that belief. But when you practice gratitude, even for the smallest things, you shift that frequency completely. You begin to send out the signal, "I already have enough, and I am open to receiving more." That mindset doesn't just change how you feel, it changes what you attract. Gratitude also reshapes your relationship with money. When you receive money, whether it's a paycheck, a sale, or even a small gift, pause for a moment and say, "Thank you." Feel genuine appreciation for it. That energy tells money it is welcome in your life. Likewise, when you spend money, do it with the same feeling. Instead of thinking, "I'm losing money," think, "I'm grateful I can pay for this. I'm grateful I can support this exchange." When you spend with gratitude, you turn every transaction into a positive cycle of energy. You circulate wealth with love, not fear, and money always returns to where it's treated with respect and joy. There's a deeper spiritual law hidden here. What you appreciate, appreciates. Just like an investment that grows with time, the things you focus on with gratitude begin to expand. If you constantly complain about bills, you'll attract more bills. If you celebrate your ability to pay them, you'll attract more ability. Gratitude doesn't change numbers instantly. It changes the vibration that creates those numbers. Think about the people you know who always seem happy and lucky. It's not that life treats them differently, it's that they interpret life differently. They see gifts where others see burdens. They notice opportunities where others see problems. Gratitude sharpens your vision. It helps you recognize wealth in places others overlook. When you start appreciating the invisible blessings, your health, your talents, your relationships, your time, you realize you are already rich beyond measure. And that realization is what invites more tangible wealth to flow toward you. You can make gratitude a practical part of your wealth-building routine. Every evening, take 5 minutes to reflect on 3 things money has allowed you to experience that day. It could be something as simple as a good meal, transportation, or the comfort of a home. When you do this consistently, you train your mind to associate money with appreciation, not stress. Over time, your emotional energy around money becomes peaceful and open. That peace attracts more prosperity. Another way to strengthen gratitude is to give. Generosity is gratitude in motion. When you give, whether it's time, money, or kindness, you are declaring that you already have enough to share. That declaration carries immense power. It tells the universe that you trust in abundance. What you give freely returns in new forms, opportunities, connections, happiness, and yes, sometimes more money. The act of giving breaks the illusion of scarcity. It reminds you that wealth isn't just about accumulation, it's about circulation. Gratitude also protects you from one of the greatest enemies of wealth: greed. Greed is the hunger that never ends. Gratitude is the fullness that doesn't fade. A person driven by greed always feels behind, always needs more to feel safe or successful. But a person grounded in gratitude feels complete at every stage. Ironically, that inner peace often attracts even greater wealth, because money loves calm energy, not desperation. If you've ever wondered why some people seem to struggle even when they earn a lot, it's often because they lack gratitude. They see money as something that will finally make them happy, but they never pause to appreciate what they already have. They live in an emotional deficit. No matter how large their bank account is, gratitude reverses that imbalance. It teaches you to feel wealthy now, not someday in the future. Start today. Take a deep breath and look around your life. The food you eat, the air you breathe, the roof above your head, the people who care about you, the knowledge you've gained, the dreams you still get to chase. Every one of these is a form of wealth. The moment you truly feel grateful for them, you align yourself with the flow of abundance. You no longer chase wealth, you become its magnet. Here's a simple practice. Every morning, before you check your phone or start your routine, say quietly, "Thank you for everything I have and everything that's on its way." Feel that gratitude deeply. Trust that life is working in your favor. Gratitude is not a technique, it's a state of being. When it becomes your natural state, prosperity follows effortlessly. In the end, wealth is not just about money, it's about harmony. It's about being at peace with what you have while continuing to grow. Gratitude keeps you balanced. It reminds you that abundance isn't something you pursue, it's something you participate in. When your heart is full of appreciation, your hands will always be full of opportunities. So remember this truth. Gratitude doesn't just unlock the flow of wealth, it is the flow. The more grateful you are, the more life gives you to be grateful for. And when gratitude becomes your foundation, you don't just live richly, you live fulfilled. Chapter 8. Live in alignment, becoming the source of wealth. After learning how to think, attract, manage, and multiply money, there comes a final step to live in alignment with abundance itself. Real wealth isn't only about money, it's about becoming the kind of person who naturally attracts prosperity in every area of life: health, relationships, purpose, and peace. When your thoughts, emotions, and actions move in harmony with each other, you stop forcing success and start flowing with it. Alignment means you no longer work against yourself. Your values, your goals, and your habits all move in the same direction. That's when wealth begins to feel effortless, because it's no longer something you chase, but something you express. Most people try to create wealth from the outside in. They work harder, chase opportunities, and look for external changes, a better job, a bigger business, or new investments. But the truth is, abundance begins inside. You can't hold on to outer wealth if your inner world is in conflict. If your actions say you want abundance, but your emotions are filled with fear, guilt, or self-doubt, you're sending mixed signals to life. Alignment begins with clarity. You must know what wealth truly means to you. For some, it's freedom, the ability to live without financial stress. For others, it's purpose, doing meaningful work that also supports a beautiful lifestyle. For others, it's contribution, creating something valuable that helps others grow. Whatever your definition, write it down. Be honest with yourself. When you define wealth clearly, your energy begins to organize around it. Then, take an honest look at your habits and choices. Are they supporting the vision you have? You can't build abundance while constantly making decisions rooted in scarcity, ignoring opportunities, fearing investment, or surrounding yourself with negativity. Living in alignment means your actions reflect your beliefs. If you say you believe in abundance, then act like someone who trusts that flow. Invest in your growth. Take calculated risks. Keep promises to yourself. Move with integrity, even when no one is watching. Money has a way of testing your character. It amplifies who you already are. If you are generous, it expands your giving. If you are careless, it multiplies your mistakes. Alignment keeps you centered, so that as your wealth grows, your peace does too. Without alignment, success can become noise, impressive from the outside, but empty within. To live in alignment, start by simplifying your relationship with money. Stop seeing it as a source of stress or validation. See it as a tool, a mirror of the energy you bring to the world. When you provide real value, serve with excellence, and move with authenticity, money flows naturally. You don't have to chase it or manipulate it. You simply need to stay in the frequency of creation. When your inner world is calm and focused, your decisions become clearer. You stop acting out of fear, fear of losing, fear of missing out, fear of judgment, and start acting from intention. From this place, you make better choices. You invest wisely, communicate confidently, and build relationships rooted in trust. That's alignment in action. Living in alignment also means balancing, giving, and receiving. Many people are comfortable giving their time, energy, or effort, but uncomfortable receiving. They feel guilty accepting praise, payment, or help. But abundance can't flow if one side of the exchange is blocked. Just as you must breathe in to breathe out, you must be open to receive as much as you give. When you receive with gratitude, you complete the cycle of abundance. Another powerful aspect of alignment is consistency. The universe rewards people who show up with faith and patience. If your energy changes with every obstacle, you lose momentum. But when you stay consistent, when your mindset, words, and habits keep pointing toward growth, life begins to match that rhythm. Opportunities start showing up because you've become a stable vessel for them. Think of alignment as tuning an instrument. If one string is out of tune, the whole song feels off. In the same way, if one part of your life, your health, emotions, relationships, or ethics is out of harmony, wealth loses its melody. You might earn money, but you won't enjoy it. You might achieve success, but it won't bring peace. Alignment is about tuning every area of your life so that prosperity flows through all of it, not just your bank account. You can start aligning yourself today with a simple daily reflection. Ask yourself 3 questions each night. Did I act in a way that reflects abundance today? Did I make choices based on faith or fear? Did I contribute something valuable to the world? If your answers are honest and you keep improving them, you'll naturally align with the energy of wealth. You'll notice that as you grow in awareness, the right people, ideas, and opportunities seem to appear at the right time. That's not luck, it's alignment. The ultimate stage of financial and spiritual growth is realizing that you are the source. Money doesn't come from your job, your clients, or your business. It flows through those channels, but it originates from your energy, your creativity, and your intention. When you understand this, you stop chasing and start creating. You stop worrying about how and focus instead on who you're becoming. When you become a person of integrity, value, gratitude, and confidence, wealth can't help but find you. It's drawn to the clarity of your vibration. You begin to attract not just money, but peace, purpose, and the freedom to live life on your own terms. That is real prosperity, the kind that doesn't fade with time or depend on luck. So live in alignment. Think abundance, feel abundance, act abundance. Let your words, choices, and energy all point in the same direction. You are not separate from wealth. You are a part of it. And when you live from that truth, you stop asking, how can I get more money? And start realizing, how can I express more of who I already am? Because in the end, the greatest wealth isn't just in what you possess, it's in who you become. Chapter 9. The Circle of Abundance. Give, grow, and flow. The final stage of wealth is not accumulation or even alignment, it is circulation. True abundance is not about how much you keep. It's about how much you can allow to flow through your life without fear. Once you learn to attract, manage, and multiply money, the next step is to let it move to give, to share, to contribute. This is where prosperity transforms from something personal into something powerful. Abundance is a circle, not a straight line. In the beginning, we learn to attract money, we bring it toward us. In the middle, we learn to manage and multiply it, we hold and grow it. But in the end, we must let it flow because money that doesn't move eventually loses its magic. Just like blood in the body or water in a river, wealth is meant to circulate. When you give, you keep that circulation alive. You become part of the natural flow of energy that connects every creator, every giver, and every receiver. Giving is not about charity alone. It is an act of trust in abundance. When you give freely, whether it's money, knowledge, kindness, or time, you're declaring that you already have enough to share. That declaration changes everything. It shifts your vibration from scarcity to sufficiency, from fear to faith. You begin to realize that life is not a competition for limited resources. It's a collaboration of infinite exchange. Some people fear giving because they think it will make them lose. But the paradox of abundance is this: the more you give with love, the more you receive in unexpected ways. Life mirrors your generosity. When you become a channel for good, good flows through you continuously. The law of circulation is constant. What you send out comes back, often multiplied, and in forms you could never predict. Think about a tree. It takes in sunlight and water, but it doesn't hoard them. It gives back shade, oxygen, fruit, and beauty. Because it gives, it stays alive. If it ever stopped giving, it would stop growing. You and your money work the same way. When you let wealth flow through you into your family, your community, your ideas, your causes, you become like that tree, deeply rooted and ever expanding. Giving also strengthens your connection to purpose. When you use your resources to uplift others, you experience wealth in its highest form, not as possession, but as power to create change. The joy that comes from genuine contribution cannot be bought or measured. It's a feeling of being in harmony with life. You start to understand that wealth was never just for you. It was meant to move through you, to touch others, and to return multiplied. But giving must be conscious. Giving without boundaries or awareness can drain you. True giving is not sacrifice. It is sharing from overflow, not emptiness. You can't pour from an empty cup. That's why all the previous chapters, mindset, management, alignment, exist, to help you build enough inner and outer abundance so that giving becomes natural and joyful, not forced or fearful. There's also another side to this circle receiving. Just as you must learn to give freely, you must also learn to receive gracefully. Many people are generous givers but poor receivers. They deflect compliments, refuse help, or feel guilty about success. But every time you reject what life offers, you break the circle of abundance. Giving and receiving are the same motion. One cannot exist without the other. To complete the cycle, you must allow energy to flow both ways. When you live in the circle of abundance, your perspective on wealth changes completely. Money stops being a symbol of survival and becomes a symbol of trust. You no longer chase it or cling to it. You manage it wisely, multiply it consciously, and release it generously. You begin to experience the deep peace that comes from knowing there is always more to give, more to learn, more to create, more to receive. This is the level where wealth becomes service. You realize that every rupee or dollar you earn carries potential to educate, to heal, to inspire, to build. You start thinking not just about what you can buy, but about what you can build. You shift from consumer to creator, from taker to transformer. That is the highest expression of money when it becomes a tool for contribution. Living in this circle doesn't mean you'll never face challenges. Even flowing rivers have rocks, bends, and storms. But when your mindset, energy, and purpose are aligned with giving and growth, you'll find that obstacles no longer scare you. You'll handle them with grace, because you'll know that life always replenishes those who stay open. Start small. Give something every day: a kind word, a helpful idea, a small donation, a smile. Each act of giving strengthens your connection to abundance. It tells your subconscious mind, I have enough, I am enough. And that belief becomes your energetic foundation for unlimited wealth. Action step. Every week, set aside a small flow fund, an amount of money dedicated purely to giving. It could be 5% of your income, or even less at first. Use it to help someone, to support a cause, or to create something meaningful. Track not what you lose, but how life responds. You'll start noticing that the more you circulate, the more your own life expands. Remember, abundance isn't something you hold, it's something you allow. When you give freely, grow continually, and stay in the flow, you stop being a seeker of wealth and become a source of it. The circle of abundance is endless. What you give out returns to you, enriched by time and multiplied by love. The more you trust that cycle, the more effortlessly it works for you. Wealth was never meant to be a finish line. It was always meant to be a rhythm, a flow that connects us all. So, live in that rhythm, give with joy, grow with intention, flow with faith. Because the secret to endless wealth is simple. You can't outgive the universe. The more you share, the more it shares back with you. Chapter 10. Becoming Limitless, the Infinite Game of Wealth. By now, you've learned the principles that form the foundation of real wealth. You understand that money begins in the mind, flows through your energy, grows through discipline, and expands through gratitude and giving. But there is one final truth to understand: wealth is not an end goal. It's a journey, an ever-evolving expression of who you are becoming. The game of money is infinite, and once you grasp that, you become limitless. Most people treat money like a destination. They believe that once they reach a certain number, a certain salary, savings, or investment target, they will finally feel secure, happy, or fulfilled. But that moment never truly comes, because real security doesn't come from numbers. It comes from your relationship with yourself. If you feel abundant inside, no loss can shake you. If you feel empty inside, no amount of money can fill you. The ultimate goal of wealth is not accumulation, it's expansion. It's about expanding your awareness, your capacity, and your contribution. Money simply mirrors that growth. When you grow as a person, when you evolve in how you think and how you serve, money naturally expands to match that energy. You don't have to chase it. You have to become it. To become limitless, you must see yourself as more than an earner or investor. You are a creator of value, a channel through which abundance expresses itself. Every idea you bring to life, every problem you solve, every life you touch, that is wealth creation at its purest form. Money follows meaning. When your work becomes an expression of your purpose, the flow of abundance becomes unstoppable. Limitless wealth is not measured by what you own, but by how freely you can live, create, and give. When you reach a point where your time, your choices, and your emotions are no longer controlled by money, that's true financial freedom. You've stepped beyond survival and into creation. You no longer wake up to earn, you wake up to express. But here's the paradox: to become limitless, you must first master limits. You must learn structure before you can create freedom, discipline before ease, awareness before abundance. The same way a river needs banks to flow, money needs direction to serve you. Your routines, your values, and your clarity form the structure through which limitless wealth can move safely and powerfully. At this stage, the focus shifts from making money to mastering yourself. You begin asking deeper questions. What is my real purpose? How can my success serve others? How can I create systems that outlast me? You begin to see that wealth is not about personal gain, it's about collective upliftment. You start thinking generationally. You think about the legacy you'll leave behind, not just in money, but in mindset. The habits you cultivate today, the beliefs you pass on, the systems you build, all of these form the foundation of abundance for those who come after you. When you live this way, money becomes a student of your vision, not your master. It follows your direction. You're no longer afraid of losing it, because you've realized you're the source. You're the generator of ideas, energy, and value. You could lose everything today and rebuild tomorrow, because the real asset is your consciousness. Becoming limitless also means making peace with change. Life moves in cycles: expansion, contraction, rest, and rebirth. There will be times of profit and times of pause, times when opportunities pour in, and times when silence teaches you patience. The wealthy understand this rhythm. They don't panic when things slow down. They use that time to learn, create, and realign. Every wave of abundance prepares you for the next one. To truly master the infinite game of wealth, cultivate 3 eternal principles: clarity, calm, and contribution. Clarity keeps you grounded. It reminds you of what truly matters: your freedom, your peace, your purpose. It helps you make financial decisions from intention, not impulse. Calm keeps you powerful. When you can stay centered in moments of chaos in markets, business, or life, you make choices from wisdom, not emotion. Calm is confidence without arrogance. It's strength without noise. Contribution keeps you expanding. The more you give through your work, your resources, and your ideas, the more the universe flows through you. Giving ensures you never stagnate. It keeps wealth alive, dynamic, and joyful. Limitless wealth doesn't mean limitless possessions. It means limitless awareness. It means living with the certainty that there's always more to learn, more to share, more to create. The more you expand your capacity to handle abundance, the more abundance will trust you. So where do you go from here? Start by embodying everything you've learned. Think abundantly, act wisely, circulate joyfully, and give gratefully. Don't wait for conditions to be perfect. Perfection is the enemy of momentum. Every small step taken in faith creates its own momentum. Understand that you don't need permission to be wealthy. You don't need to be born into wealth or wait for luck. You simply need to believe that you are capable, worthy, and willing to grow. Wealth responds to clarity and courage, not circumstance. You are already part of the infinite flow of abundance. Every thought you think, every decision you make, every person you help, it all ripples out into the world. And what you send out always comes back. As you walk forward, remember that money is not the goal, mastery is. The true master of money is not the one who has the most, but the one who can create, enjoy, share, and multiply it without attachment. So keep learning, keep creating, keep expanding. Let your life become the message that wealth is not about taking, it's about transforming. When you reach this level of awareness, something magical happens. You stop asking, "How can I attract money?" and begin asking, "How can I serve more, give more, and live more fully?" And that question, more than any strategy or system, will keep you in the flow of limitless prosperity. Because in the end, money is not the reward you are. You are the generator, the magnet, and the multiplier. You are the living proof that abundance is not something you find, it's something you become. That's the final lesson. Become the energy of wealth itself. When you do, money will forever follow your frequency, and your life will become the ultimate expression of abundance, effortless, purposeful, and infinite. Chapter 12. The Eternal Flow. Living as abundance itself. At the beginning of this journey, we explored how money begins in the mind as a thought, a belief, an idea. But by the time you've walked through every stage, energy, discipline, gratitude, circulation, alignment, and legacy, you discover something far more profound. The truth that you are not separate from abundance at all. You are it. You are the flow. When you finally understand this, everything changes. You no longer see money as an object to chase, manage, or control. You see it as a reflection, a mirror of your consciousness, your growth, and your purpose. You stop asking, "How can I get more?" and start asking, "How can I live more fully, more truthfully, more generously?" And in that moment, money becomes effortless. It becomes a natural extension of who you are. The great paradox of life is that the more you chase something, the more it runs away. But the moment you embody it, it cannot leave you. That's how abundance works. It's not something you pursue, it's something you allow. It's the natural state of a heart free from fear and full of faith. To live as abundance itself means to wake up each day with deep awareness of the richness that already surrounds you, the air you breathe, the love you give, the mind that creates, the opportunities that appear, and the challenges that shape you. Abundance isn't only about wealth in numbers, it's about wealth in consciousness. When your perception changes, your entire life shifts. You begin to see that scarcity was never outside of you. It was a belief, a lens. You were never lacking anything. You simply hadn't learned to see the infinite resources already within and around you. The universe doesn't play favorites. It responds equally to everyone, but it reflects the vibration you hold. If you live in fear, you attract struggle. If you live in trust, you attract flow. Living as abundance means becoming the embodiment of giving and receiving without tension or resistance. It means knowing that when you share your gifts, your ideas, your kindness, your value, you're not losing anything. You're expanding. You are part of a greater system that thrives on exchange. Every breath you take in depends on the breath someone else releases. Every gift you give opens a space for something new to arrive. When you understand this, generosity becomes second nature. You stop hoarding opportunities, love, or knowledge because you know there's always more. You move through life with the quiet confidence of someone who trusts the flow. You give because you can, and you receive because you're worthy. That balance creates a life of peace that no amount of money alone can buy. But let's be clear, living as abundance is not about ignoring responsibility or pretending everything is perfect. It's about meeting every circumstance, good or bad, from a place of power, not panic. When you're aligned with the flow of abundance, even challenges carry gifts. Financial setbacks become lessons in resilience. Losses become invitations to grow. Every delay becomes divine timing. You stop fighting life and start flowing with it. At this stage, your relationship with money becomes sacred. You see it not as currency alone, but as communication, a conversation between your inner world and the outer one. How you earn, spend, invest, and share money reflects your deepest beliefs about worth, trust, and purpose. And because you now operate from awareness, you use money intentionally as a creative force for good. You start building from alignment instead of anxiety. You choose projects that matter, work that fulfills, partnerships that uplift. You no longer chase quick returns or superficial success. You invest in people, ideas, and causes that reflect your values. Every transaction becomes a statement. I stand for growth, for integrity, for expansion, and the universe responds with more of the same. Living as abundance also means mastering detachment. You no longer tie your happiness to outcomes. You give your best, but you let go of control. You trust that whatever happens, profit or loss, rise or fall, serves your highest evolution. This detachment doesn't make you passive. It makes you peaceful. You act with purpose, but you don't cling to results. That's when true power appears, the kind that can't be shaken by market swings, opinions, or fears. When you live from this state, money becomes lighter. It doesn't weigh on you anymore. You can enjoy it without guilt, share it without fear, and use it without attachment. You begin to see wealth not as a destination, but as a rhythm. Inhale, exhale, earn, invest, give, receive. Each part of the cycle supports the next. The flow never stops unless you resist it. The deepest form of abundance is awareness itself. Awareness of your creative power, of your connection to everything, of your ability to transform thoughts into reality. Once you know this, nothing outside of you can define you again. You realize that abundance doesn't belong to a few. It belongs to anyone who learns to see and live from it. You stop waiting for permission. You stop waiting for the right moment. You realize the moment is now, and the permission was always yours. Living as abundance is also living in service. You understand that your growth helps others grow. When you shine, you remind others of their own light. When you succeed with integrity, you expand what's possible for everyone. The highest expression of abundance is when your success becomes a source of inspiration, not intimidation. When people look at your journey and think, if they can do it, so can I. You don't need to become a billionaire or a global leader to do this. You can embody abundance through presence, through the way you speak, treat people, and show up. When your energy carries peace, others feel safe around you. When your actions are generous, others feel inspired. When your mindset reflects trust, others begin to trust life more. That ripple effect is how the world transforms one conscious person at a time. As you continue this journey, remember that abundance will keep evolving. What fulfills you now will expand tomorrow. There's no final destination, only deeper levels of expression. Keep learning. Keep giving. Keep expanding your circle of impact. The moment you stop growing, you stop the flow. The more you open, the more life gives. And when you look back years from now, you'll realize something extraordinary, that the journey was never about money. It was about becoming. Every principle, from mindset to management, from gratitude to giving, was simply preparing you to remember who you truly are, an infinite creator in a universe of infinite supply. When you live this truth, you become unshakable. No crisis can break you, no loss can define you, and no challenge can limit you. You will have stepped into your natural state, a state of calm, confidence, joyful expansion, and peaceful prosperity. You will not just possess wealth, you will be wealth. This is the eternal flow, the rhythm of creation itself. You are not a drop in the ocean of abundance. You are the ocean in a drop. You are the source, the channel, and the receiver all at once. When you live from that awareness, every action you take becomes sacred, every exchange becomes meaningful, and every moment becomes rich. So live with open hands and an open heart. Trust the flow. Give without fear, receive without guilt, and create without limit. Let your life be a living example of what abundance truly means, not the pursuit of more, but the expression of fullness. Because in the end, abundance isn't something you find, earn, or attract. It's something you remember. It has always been within you, waiting for your awareness to awaken it. And once you remember, once you live as abundance itself, you never have to chase wealth again. You simply live it, breathe it, and share it effortlessly, endlessly, eternally. Chapter 13. The Mastery of Stillness, the Silent Power Behind Abundance. After walking through every stage of the journey, from believing in abundance, to managing it, to sharing it, to becoming it, there remains one final realization. All the strategies, principles, and philosophies of wealth are powerful, but they all lead to one place: stillness. The highest mastery is not in doing more, but in being more, in living from a place of deep, quiet awareness, where life flows effortlessly through you. Stillness is not inactivity. It is pure presence, the state where your mind stops fighting the world and begins flowing with it. In stillness, you no longer chase money, success, or recognition. You simply allow creation to unfold through you, because you've learned that abundance is not built through tension, but through trust. Most people live in noise, mental noise, emotional noise, digital noise. Their thoughts are constantly racing between the past and the future. They're either regretting what was or fearing what will be. In that constant motion, they lose touch with the only place where abundance can truly exist, the present moment. The truth is, wealth is not created in the future, it is created in the now. Every opportunity, every decision, every inspired idea, they are born in this very moment. But to access them, You must be still enough to hear them. You must quiet the mind long enough for intuition to speak. Stillness is not laziness, it's clarity. It's the state from which right action emerges. It's what allows you to make fewer mistakes, take fewer risks, and create more impact with less effort. You start recognizing which opportunities are aligned and which are distractions. You begin to sense the flow of energy behind every decision, and that's where real power lies. When you operate from stillness, you become magnetic. You attract not by striving, but by being. People can feel your calm energy. They trust you, they're drawn to you, and opportunities naturally find you. You don't need to convince or chase. Your vibration does the work. Think of a calm lake. Its surface reflects everything around it, clearly the sky, the trees, the sunlight. But when the water is disturbed, the reflection disappears. The same is true for your mind. When it's restless, you can't see clearly. You can't hear your intuition or recognize opportunity. But when it's still, clarity returns. You begin to reflect life as it truly is: abundant, limitless, and full of possibility. Stillness also deepens your relationship with time. When you are restless, time feels like an enemy, something slipping away too fast. But when you are present, time expands. You start noticing details, moments, synchronicities. Life becomes slower, richer, more meaningful. And ironically, that's when you achieve more, because you're acting from focus, not frenzy. The mastery of stillness also transforms your relationship with money. You stop reacting to it emotionally. You stop feeling fear when it leaves and greed when it comes. You begin to see it as energy moving through your life, sometimes flowing in, sometimes flowing out, but always circulating. That awareness allows you to stay peaceful no matter the balance in your account, because your sense of wealth no longer depends on numbers. It depends on your state of being. This kind of inner peace is the ultimate financial freedom. You are free not because you own everything, but because nothing owns you. You are free because you know that your source of abundance is not outside, it's within your consciousness. To cultivate stillness, you must create space in your mind, your schedule, and your energy. Begin your days in silence. Spend a few minutes just breathing deeply and observing your thoughts without judgment. Watch them come and go, like waves passing over the ocean of your awareness. You'll begin to notice that you are not your thoughts, you are the one observing them. That simple recognition is liberation. Throughout your day, pause often. Don't rush from task to task. Between actions, take a few seconds to breathe consciously. That small pause resets your vibration. It reminds you that you're not running a race. You're moving through a dance. And in a dance, rhythm matters more than speed. Stillness also means detachment from noise, external and internal. Limit the time you spend consuming content that triggers comparison, anxiety, or greed. Protect your peace like a sacred investment, because it is one. Your state of mind determines your state of wealth. In stillness, gratitude deepens. You start feeling thankfulness not only for what you have, but for the very act of being alive. You begin to sense the intelligence that governs all things, the same energy that keeps planets orbiting and hearts beating. When you realize that this energy is also flowing through you, how could you ever doubt abundance again? You understand that life is not random, it's rhythmic. Every high and every low carries purpose. Every delay hides divine timing. Every challenge arrives to teach you how to expand your capacity for trust. In stillness, this truth becomes clear. You stop resisting life's flow and start moving with it gracefully, peacefully, powerfully. Stillness also refines your creativity. Some of your best ideas won't come when you're pushing hard. But when you're relaxed and open during a walk, a shower, or a quiet moment of reflection, that's because inspiration needs space. When your mind is full, nothing new can enter. When it's calm, ideas flow like water. As your inner world becomes quieter, your outer world begins to mirror it. Business becomes smoother, relationships become calmer, decisions become easier, opportunities appear at just the right time. You start to realize that success is not about control, it's about coherence. The more aligned your energy, the less effort you need. Stillness is not the absence of ambition, it's the presence of awareness. It doesn't mean you stop working hard, it means your work becomes sacred. Every action you take arises from clarity instead of chaos, from faith instead of fear, and that difference is everything. When you live from stillness, you finally understand that abundance was never about accumulation, it was about connection. You feel connected to everything, to the earth beneath your feet, to the people in your life, to the flow of energy that moves through every moment. You begin to sense that nothing is separate. The wealth that flows through your life is part of the same current that moves through all creation. In this state, your purpose becomes simple: to live in harmony with that current, to express it fully through your gifts, and to help others remember it within themselves. That is the true mastery: to live in stillness while creating movement, to hold peace while generating power, to be both grounded and infinite. And perhaps that's the ultimate secret. When you stop trying to control life, life starts working for you. When you stop demanding, you start receiving. When you stop striving, you start arriving over and over again, in each moment, fully here, fully alive. You've now come full circle from seeking wealth to realizing you are wealth, from chasing abundance to understanding you embody it. And in this quiet realization, you touch the essence of all creation, the silent, infinite source from which everything flows. Be still. Trust the flow. Breathe deeply. You are exactly where abundance lives. Chapter 14. The Law of Expansion. The universe rewards growth. Everything in the universe is in motion. The stars expand, the oceans shift, trees reach upward, and even the breath you take is a rhythm of expansion and contraction. Life itself is designed to grow. Every atom, every cell, every being exists in a constant dance of evolution. To live in harmony with abundance, you must understand and embody this natural law, the law of expansion. The law of expansion is simple yet profound. Everything that aligns with growth multiplies, and everything that resists it eventually dissolves. The same truth applies to money, success, and even happiness. The moment you stop growing, you stop flowing. But when you commit to expansion in mind, in spirit, in skill, and in contribution, the universe expands with you. This is not a motivational phrase, it's a fundamental law of nature. When a plant grows, it doesn't question whether it deserves sunlight. It simply expands toward it. When water meets an obstacle, it doesn't complain, it finds a new path. The universe has no fear of growth, only humans do. We doubt ourselves, we hesitate, we cling to comfort, and in doing so, we restrict the very energy that creates abundance. To live by the law of expansion is to remember who you truly are, an evolving, limitless being designed for progress. Growth is your natural state. Stagnation feels uncomfortable because it goes against your essence. Whenever you feel trapped, stuck, or unfulfilled, it's not a sign that you're broken, it's a signal that your soul is asking for expansion. Growth doesn't always mean doing more. Sometimes it means becoming more. It's about stretching beyond what's familiar, emotionally, mentally, spiritually, and financially. The greatest wealth builders and visionaries all share one trait. They are obsessed with growth, not greed. They see every challenge as a teacher and every ending as a beginning. Their wealth is simply a byproduct of their continuous evolution. The law of expansion begins with awareness. You must first notice where you've stopped growing. Look at your routines, your beliefs, your relationships, and your finances. Where have you chosen safety over potential? Where have you allowed fear or comfort to replace curiosity? Growth doesn't happen by accident. It happens through conscious stretching. You cannot expand your wealth without expanding your identity. Every new level of abundance requires a new version of you. The income, opportunities, and success you desire exist at a higher frequency than where you currently stand. To reach them, you must rise in mindset, discipline, and energy. That rise feels uncomfortable at first because expansion always stretches the old limits of who you believe you are. But that discomfort is sacred. It's the feeling of transformation. The universe responds not to your wishes, but to your willingness. When you show that you're ready to expand, life supports you. It sends people, ideas, and opportunities that match your readiness. But when you cling to smallness, to excuses, doubts, or fear, life mirrors that too. Expansion requires trust in yourself, in timing, and in the intelligence that guides everything. The greatest mistake people make is trying to expand only their income, not their consciousness. They chase bigger numbers while staying the same person internally. That's why they often end up overwhelmed or dissatisfied even after success. Real expansion happens when your inner world grows first, when your vision widens, your gratitude deepens, and your purpose strengthens. The external world simply reflects that inner growth. To apply the law of expansion in your life, begin by asking yourself powerful questions each day. What is one small way I can grow today? What skill can I improve? What fear can I face? What comfort zone can I gently step beyond? Growth doesn't have to be dramatic. Even 1% expansion every day leads to massive transformation over time. A small improvement in how you think, speak, or manage your money compounds into a lifetime of abundance. The key is consistency. Expansion is not a one-time event. It's a lifestyle. You'll notice that when you start expanding, resistance often appears. The moment you decide to evolve, the old patterns of fear, doubt, and scarcity rise to test your strength. This isn't punishment, it's purification. The universe brings these challenges forward not to stop you, but to make you stronger. Just as a muscle grows through resistance, your consciousness expands through contrast. Learn to welcome discomfort. When you face a financial setback, instead of shrinking into fear, ask, what lesson is this teaching me? What part of me is ready to grow? When you experience rejection, don't close your heart, open it wider. The universe uses every event, pleasant or painful, to guide your expansion. Another powerful truth about the law of expansion is that giving accelerates growth. When you share your knowledge, wealth, or kindness, you make room for more to flow in. Energy can't expand if it's trapped. Circulation is growth. That's why generosity is not just a moral act, it's an energetic strategy. The more you give from an abundant mindset, the more capacity you build to receive. And here's the beautiful part. Expansion doesn't only bring more money, it brings more life. As your energy grows, your experiences deepen. You begin to attract people who match your evolution, relationships, rooted in authenticity and growth. You start creating work that feels meaningful. You wake up excited, not anxious, because every day feels like an opportunity to explore more of what you're capable of. There's no ceiling in this process. You never arrive at expansion. You live it. The more you grow, the more the universe reveals. It's an infinite unfolding. Each success opens the door to new potential, and each challenge expands your strength. Abundance is not a final destination. It's a continuous invitation. The only real failure is refusing to grow. The moment you stop learning, giving, or adapting, stagnation sets in. Even wealth can decay without expansion. The richest lives are the ones that keep evolving, not just in possessions, but in perspective. To master the law of expansion, balance ambition with surrender. Set your goals, take bold action, and then release the outcome. Allow the universe to organize the details. Expansion is not forced, it's guided. Like a flower, your growth unfolds naturally when the environment is right. Your job is to stay open, nourished, and willing. Every time you say yes to life, yes to learning, to risk, to faith, you expand your field of abundance. The universe rewards that yes. It recognizes courage and responds with opportunity. But when you say no, out of fear, life respects that too. It pauses until you're ready. You are a vessel for infinite growth. No matter how much you've achieved, there will always be more, not because you're lacking, but because you're limitless. Expansion is the soul's language. It's how consciousness expresses joy. To stop growing would be to stop living. So keep expanding in love, in wisdom, in generosity, in possibility. The more you grow, the more you glow, and that light becomes your magnet, attracting everything that matches its brilliance. The law of expansion is the essence of abundance itself. As you grow, so does your world. The universe is not waiting to give you more, it's waiting for you to become more. When you do, the gates of opportunity swing wide open, and life rushes in to meet you. In the end, abundance is not something you hold, it's something you embody. Expansion is not something you do, it's who you are. Every time you take a breath, every time you create, every time you choose courage over comfort, you fulfill the very purpose of existence: to grow, to give, to expand. You are the universe expanding through human form. When you live with that awareness, there are no limits, only layers of possibility waiting to unfold. So keep expanding, not just your wealth, but your heart, not just your influence, but your consciousness, not just your life, but the lives of everyone you touch. Because the more you expand, the more the universe expands through you. That is the law of expansion. That is the eternal promise of abundance. Grow, and life will grow with you. Chapter 15. The infinite return: how energy always comes back multiplied. Everything you think, speak, and do is energy, and energy never disappears. It moves, transforms, circulates, and eventually returns. This is the law of infinite return, the quiet but undeniable principle that governs abundance in every form. Whatever you give to life in thought, emotion, or action, life multiplies and gives back to you. This law is not philosophical poetry. It's the structure of the universe itself. Look around. Every act of giving in nature creates more life. A tree gives oxygen and receives nourishment from the soil. A river gives water and receives strength from the rain. The sun gives light endlessly, and in that giving, it sustains entire worlds. Life exists through exchange, and you are part of that exchange. You cannot escape it, but you can learn to participate consciously. When you understand this, your relationship with wealth changes forever. You realize that money, opportunities, relationships, and peace are not random blessings. They are returns of the energy you've released into the world. Your thoughts are seeds, your actions are water, your emotions are sunlight. What you send out grows and circles back, multiplied by the time and space it has traveled through. The infinite return works in all directions. When you give love, love expands. When you give value, value multiplies. But when you give fear, resentment, or scarcity, that too comes back in form, sometimes as delay, sometimes as loss, sometimes as confusion. The universe is not punishing or rewarding, it's simply mirroring. It reflects your vibration with precision. Most people misunderstand this law. They try to manipulate outcomes by giving only to get something back. But true giving, the kind that multiplies, comes from purity, not expectation. When you give without condition, you send out clean energy, free from fear or control. That energy vibrates higher, travels farther, and returns with exponential force. Think about it. Every act of kindness you've ever done, every genuine smile, every piece of advice you've given, every moment you've uplifted someone, they've never vanished. They're echoes in the fabric of time, rippling outward until one day they find their way back to you. Maybe as an opportunity, maybe as support in a moment you need it most, maybe as quiet peace in your heart. Nothing is wasted. Everything circulates. The same applies to money. When you use money with joy and purpose, when you invest in growth, give with gratitude, or spend in alignment with your values, that energy returns as prosperity. But when you spend from fear or guilt, you block the return. Money, like water, thrives on flow. If you hold it too tightly, it stagnates. If you release it wisely, it replenishes. To live by the law of infinite return, you must first become aware of the energy behind your actions. Before you speak, ask yourself, is this coming from fear or from love? Before you spend, ask, am I expanding or contracting with this choice? Before you give, ask, am I offering this from fullness or from lack? When your energy is clear, your return is powerful. When it's mixed, when you give with resentment or act with expectation, your results become scattered. The universe amplifies what's consistent. That's why peace, patience, and faith are so essential in the process of attracting and multiplying wealth. They keep your energy steady, allowing your returns to come back clean and abundant. The infinite return is also the foundation of purpose. The more value you give the world, the more value life gives you in return. Success is not an accident, it's a reflection of contribution. Every great fortune, invention, or creation began as a service, an attempt to solve a problem, meet a need, or make life better. The more people you serve, the larger your return. Not because you demanded it, but because energy seeks balance. Giving creates receiving. However, here lies a paradox. To truly activate the infinite return, you must detach from it. The most powerful returns come when you no longer chase them. When your heart is at peace, when your work becomes your gift rather than your transaction, the universe steps in to multiply your impact. You no longer need to measure what you'll get, because you already feel abundant in what you're giving. This is why gratitude is so powerful. It multiplies your energy instantly. When you appreciate what you already have, you emit the signal of abundance. That signal draws more experiences that match it. The universe hears gratitude as, I have enough, and responds by sending more to match that vibration. Conversely, when you complain or focus on what's missing, you affirm lack, and life mirrors that too. You can see this law play out everywhere in business, in relationships, in health. When a business gives real value, it grows. When a relationship is nurtured with care, it deepens. When you treat your body with respect, it rewards you with strength. Energy does not lie. It simply expands whatever it's fed. And this expansion is never linear, it's exponential. What you give doesn't return in the same form. It returns enhanced, layered with all the experiences it's touched along the way. A small act of generosity can inspire someone to give to others, creating a ripple of good that eventually finds its way back to you, multiplied beyond measure. But what about pain, loss, or struggle? How do they fit into this law? Even those are returns, not punishments, but lessons. They come to show you where your energy needs refinement. If you've been giving from fear, you might receive challenges that teach you surrender. If you've been overgiving without boundaries, life might return exhaustion, asking you to learn balance. Every return is intelligent. It reflects what you need to see, not always what you want to see. Once you understand that, you stop fighting life. You start cooperating with it. You trust the timing of your returns. You stop asking, "Why is this happening to me?" and start asking, "What is this trying to teach me?" That shift alone changes everything. You begin to walk through life with faith instead of frustration. To practice the infinite return consciously, make giving and gratitude your default state. Every day, ask yourself, what energy am I releasing into the world today? Give without fear a smile, a prayer, a coin, an idea, a word of encouragement. Every seed counts. Don't wait to have more to start giving. Giving is what creates more. And when you receive, whether it's money, opportunity, or kindness, receive fully. Many people block abundance not because they can't give, but because they can't receive. They feel unworthy. They downplay compliments. They reject help. But receiving with grace completes the circle. It tells the universe, "I trust the flow." That trust multiplies the flow. Living in alignment with this law transforms your sense of control. You no longer worry about when or how your returns will come. You simply know that they will in the perfect way, at the perfect time. That knowing is peace. It frees you from anxiety and scarcity. It allows you to live with open hands and an open heart, knowing that every good you release will find its way back home to you, multiplied and magnified. The infinite return is not only about money, it's about the total abundance of life. Every breath you give, every act of love, every moment of kindness, it all adds to the invisible account of the universe. And when the time is right, life repays you in ways that transcend imagination. So, give generously. Speak truthfully. Work with love. Share your gifts. Trust the process. Every positive intention you release into the world becomes a force that will one day circle back to lift you higher. In the quiet rhythm of giving and receiving lies the eternal secret of wealth. You never lose by giving, you only delay the moment of your multiplied return. The universe never forgets what you send out. It only waits for you to become ready to receive it back. And when that moment comes, you'll understand you were never giving anything away. You were simply setting it in motion, letting it travel through the world, gather blessings, and return home, carrying more light than when it left your hands. That is the infinite return. That is the secret of effortless abundance. Give purely, grow patiently, receive gracefully, repeat eternally. Chapter 16. The Creator's Mind, Becoming the Architect of Reality. There is a truth so simple, so profound, that once it's understood, it transforms everything you know about money, success, and life itself. You are not just part of creation, you are the creator. You are not merely a participant in the flow of abundance. You are the mind that directs it. You are not just a receiver of opportunities. You are the architect of them. The creator's mind is the final step in your journey, the place where you no longer ask, "How can I attract abundance?" because you've realized you are abundance in conscious form. From the very beginning of this series, every lesson has been pointing toward this truth. Money begins in the mind. Energy aligns with emotion. Gratitude opens flow. Growth multiplies value. Stillness reveals clarity. Expansion calls the universe to respond, and the infinite return completes the circle. But behind all of these laws lies the ultimate source, you. Everything you experience in your external world is a mirror of your internal world. Your beliefs, emotions, and expectations project onto the canvas of reality, shaping the people you meet, the opportunities that appear, and the outcomes that unfold. Life is not happening to you, it is happening through you. You are the painter, and the world is your reflection. The creator's mind understands this truth deeply. That thought is not just imagination, it is causation. Every idea carries energy, every belief carries power, and every emotion is a vibration that organizes matter into form. Look around you right now. Every object you see, every building, invention, tool, and system was once a thought in someone's mind. Money itself is a manifestation of collective belief. It has value because humanity agreed to give it value. That is the power of mind, to turn ideas into tangible reality through focused attention and belief. When you realize this, you stop living reactively. You stop waiting for miracles and start generating them. You stop trying to control circumstances and instead master consciousness. Because reality doesn't respond to struggle, it responds to certainty. It reflects not what you want, but what you are. The creator's mind is not about ego or domination, it's about awareness. You are not trying to bend life to your will. You are aligning with its creative intelligence. You are co-creating with the same universal power that spins galaxies and grows trees. That power doesn't belong to a select few. It flows through everyone. The difference lies in awareness. Most people are creating unconsciously, driven by fear, habit, or limitation. But once you awaken, you create deliberately. The first step toward mastering the creator's mind is responsibility. You must accept that nothing in your life is random. Every experience, pleasant or painful, carries your energetic signature. This is not blame, it's power. Because if your consciousness can create limitation, it can also create liberation. If it can create struggle, it can create success. The moment you take full ownership of your creation, you reclaim your ability to change it. To think like a creator means to think in terms of possibility, not probability. The average mind calculates based on what's likely. The creative mind imagines what's possible. Possibility doesn't care about odds, it responds to energy. If your vibration is aligned, even the impossible becomes inevitable. Creation begins with thought, but it's sustained by emotion. A thought is like a seed, but emotion is the water that nourishes it. If you think, "I am wealthy but feel fear," the vibration is split and the creation weakens. But when you think and feel in harmony, when your mind and heart agree, creation becomes effortless. You're no longer wishing, you're knowing. That's why clarity is sacred. The creator's mind is focused. It doesn't scatter energy on doubt or distraction. It holds a vision with calm certainty, trusting that the invisible will soon become visible. The universe always mirrors consistency. When your thoughts, emotions, and actions move as one, reality has no choice but to follow. But creation doesn't happen only in meditation or visualization. It happens in every moment. Every time you speak, you cast a spell. Every time you imagine, you plant a seed. Every time you act, you give form to energy. To live as a creator is to live consciously, to understand that you are shaping the world with every vibration you emit. Many people misunderstand manifestation as thinking about money until it appears. But creation is not about forcing results, it's about becoming the frequency of the result. You don't attract what you want, you attract what you are. The creator's mind knows that to experience abundance, you must become abundance. Generous, calm, trusting, open, and grateful. The universe doesn't respond to desperation, it responds to embodiment. When you already feel the energy of success, even before it arrives, life rearranges itself to match your inner state. This is the secret behind all great creators. They believe before seeing, act before certainty, and trust before proof. That trust is not blind faith, it's conscious alignment. To create consciously, practice 3 disciplines every day. Direct your thought. Refuse to let your mind wander into fear or limitation. Each time it does, gently bring it back to expansion and possibility. Guard your emotion. Feel gratitude before results. Celebrate small wins. Keep your heart light, because emotion is magnetic. Act from inspiration, not obligation. When your actions arise from excitement, curiosity, or joy, they carry creative energy that multiplies. Over time, you begin to notice a pattern. The more you create consciously, the faster reality responds. Synchronicities increase, the right people show up. Opportunities appear seemingly out of nowhere, but they're not random, they're resonant. You've tuned yourself to a higher frequency, and the universe is simply echoing it back. The creator's mind also understands balance. It doesn't chase endless expansion without rest. It honors cycles, action and stillness, giving and receiving, growth and reflection. Even the universe breathes in creation and destruction, in tides and seasons. When you live in rhythm with that pulse, your manifestations unfold naturally. But here's the most important part. A true creator never creates for ego alone. Conscious creation is service. It's using your power to uplift, to inspire, to heal, to awaken. When your creations bless others, the universe supports them infinitely. Because you're not working against the flow, you've become part of it. Every business built with love, every idea born from integrity, every gift offered from authenticity, all these are expressions of divine creation. When you work from this energy, money, respect, and recognition follow not as goals, but as natural outcomes. You don't chase success, success chases you. Eventually, you reach a state of effortless manifestation where desire transforms into experience almost instantly. That's not magic. It's mastery. You've cleared resistance, refined your vibration, and learned to align your energy so purely that creation becomes automatic. You think it, you feel it, you act on it, and it appears. But even here, humility remains essential. The creator's mind doesn't boast because it knows the truth. It's not creating alone. It's co-creating with the source, the same infinite intelligence that keeps stars burning and hearts beating. You are not replacing God, you are expressing God. You are the divine in motion, shaping reality through awareness. When you live from this state, fear vanishes. You stop worrying about losing money or missing chances because you know you can always create more. You no longer seek permission or validation. You are guided by inspiration, not insecurity. You move through life with quiet confidence, not arrogance, because you understand your creative power is sacred. This realization changes everything. Work becomes play. Challenges become creative puzzles. Time becomes your ally. life becomes a canvas of possibilities. You stop waiting for the world to give you what you want and start designing the world you wish to live in. And one day, when you look back, you'll see that every chapter of your journey, every belief, every challenge, every shift was preparing you for this truth. You were never learning how to attract abundance. You were remembering that you are its source. The Creator's mind is the final key not to control reality, but to awaken within it. Once you realize that every thought is a brushstroke on the canvas of existence, you begin to paint consciously with love, with faith, with beauty. So, create wisely, think richly, feel deeply, act purposefully. Every moment, you are shaping universes not just for yourself, but for everyone touched by your light. You are not a seeker of wealth. You are a generator of it. You are not a subject in the universe. You are a co-architect of it. The Creator's mind doesn't wait for miracles. It becomes one. And when you live from that awareness, life bends in your favor, not because you forced it, but because you finally remembered that it was never separate from you. You are the dreamer and the dream, the source and the reflection, the cause and the creation. You are the mind of the Creator, awake, aware, and infinite. Chapter 17. The Final Alignment. Living in Oneness with Abundance. At the end of every journey, there comes a quiet, knowing the realization that you've been walking in a circle that always led back to yourself. You began by asking how to attract money, how to multiply wealth, how to find abundance. And after every chapter, every principle, every practice, you now see what was waiting in silence all along. You were never chasing abundance, you were remembering your oneness with it. This is the final alignment, the state where seeking ends and being begins. It is where wealth is no longer a pursuit, but a presence, where effort becomes expression, and the line between spiritual and material dissolves completely. To live in oneness with abundance means to exist in harmony with life itself, not separate from it, not above it, not beneath it. You are the breath of creation breathing through form, the current moving through the ocean of existence. When you know this, lack becomes impossible, for how can the ocean ever be thirsty? In the earlier stages of your path, abundance felt like something to earn, attract, or achieve. But the deeper truth is this: you cannot attract what you already are. The flower does not attract sunlight, it simply opens. The magnet does not chase metal, it simply radiates its nature. Likewise, abundance doesn't come to you, it comes through you, once you open fully to your true state of being. To live in alignment is to live without resistance. It is to move through life with trust, not tension. It is to wake each day with gratitude, to act with integrity, and to rest in the quiet certainty that everything you need will find its way to you because your energy allows it. Alignment is not laziness. It is deep awareness. It's the art of allowing universal intelligence to do what it's been doing since the beginning of time, creating effortlessly. The universe doesn't strain to create a sunrise, nor does a tree worry about growing leaves. Existence is flow. When you stop fighting that flow through fear, guilt, or self-doubt, you rediscover your natural rhythm. And in that rhythm, wealth, love, peace, and opportunity arise as naturally as breath. The final alignment begins with acceptance. Everything you've experienced, the victories, the losses, the lessons, was perfectly designed to bring you here. You were never off your path. Even your detours were divine. Every delay refined your patience. Every scarcity taught you value. Every heartbreak expanded your capacity to receive love. Alignment is not about fixing your past. It's about embracing it as part of your wholeness. When you reach this awareness, your energy becomes magnetic. You no longer need to chase success or manipulate outcomes. People sense your presence calm, grounded, assured. You become a field of coherence that naturally draws harmony, prosperity, and joy into everything you touch. The world responds to your frequency because you've aligned with the frequency of creation itself. Living in oneness with abundance also transforms your relationship with time. You stop rushing. You stop trying to make things happen faster. You realize that what is meant for you is not delayed, it is simply aligning. The more peaceful you are, the more precisely life unfolds. When you rest in trust, you create space for miracles to arrive without struggle. In this state, giving and receiving become the same act. You give not to gain, and you receive without guilt. You understand that both are part of one breath, the inhale and the exhale of abundance. You cannot breathe in without breathing out. You cannot receive without giving. So you give freely, knowing that every act of generosity feeds the eternal cycle of return. At this stage, gratitude becomes constant, not as a practice, but as a state of being. You stop saying, "I'll be grateful when," and start realizing, "I am grateful now." Gratitude no longer depends on external circumstances. It is your natural vibration. You find beauty in simplicity. You feel wealthy in the ordinary, the taste of water, the warmth of sunlight, the laughter of a friend, all remind you that abundance has always been here. When you live in this state, fear begins to fade. Not because life becomes perfect, but because you finally understand that nothing real can be lost. Money may come and go, but the consciousness that creates it remains. Opportunities may shift, but your creative power endures. Even in uncertainty, you feel secure not because of what you have, but because of who you are. This awareness is liberation. You no longer measure success by accumulation, but by alignment. You ask not, "How much can I get?" but "How much can I express?" You realize that your life is not about owning abundance. It's about embodying it, letting it move through you as ideas, art, service, compassion, and joy. And yet, this realization doesn't make you passive. On the contrary, it ignites a deeper drive, not the restless hunger of ambition, but the creative impulse of the soul. You begin to create not to prove, but to contribute. You build not to dominate, but to uplift. You prosper not to separate yourself, but to inspire others to remember their own power. In this alignment, your life becomes your message. You don't need to teach abundance, you live it. People who encounter you feel more at ease, more hopeful, more alive, not because of what you give them, but because of the energy you embody. You remind them of their own wholeness simply by being whole yourself. This is the highest form of wealth, the kind that cannot be spent, stolen, or measured. It is the wealth of presence. When you reach this level, every moment becomes sacred, every exchange becomes meaningful. Work turns into worship, rest turns into reflection, life turns into a living meditation. The final alignment is not about becoming someone new. It's about remembering who you've always been, a fragment of infinity, expressing itself through a human form. You are not separate from Source. You are a spark of it. The same intelligence that moves galaxies beats your heart. The same creative force that birthed stars flows through your veins. You were never meant to struggle for abundance. You were meant to awaken to it. So, how do you live in this awareness day by day? Not through constant striving, but through constant presence. Pause often. Breathe deeply. Observe without judgment. Speak truthfully. Act from love. Let every thought, word, and action become a reflection of your connection to the infinite. When you fall out of alignment, as everyone sometimes does, don't panic. Simply return to the breath, to gratitude, to stillness. Alignment is not a destination you reach once. It's a moment-to-moment choice. The more you choose peace over panic, trust over fear, generosity over greed, the more natural it becomes. Eventually, you realize that there was never anything to attract, manage, or multiply, because the abundance you sought was never outside of you. It was within you, waiting for recognition. The money, the success, the peace, the joy, they were reflections of your inner alignment all along. When you live in this truth, every area of life transforms. Relationships become harmonious because you no longer seek completion from others. Work becomes fulfilling because you no longer chase validation. Health improves because your energy is balanced. Prosperity flows because you've stopped blocking it with fear. The final alignment is the end of striving and the beginning of living. It is the quiet smile that comes when you finally understand that you are not walking toward abundance, you are walking as abundance. And so, as this journey closes, let the final truth settle in your heart. You are not a seeker of wealth, you are the embodiment of it. You are not waiting for blessings, you are the channel through which they flow. You are not a small being trying to survive in a vast universe. You are the universe experiencing itself through human eyes. The final alignment is the great remembering, the awakening from illusion into truth. It is the return home to yourself, where peace, prosperity, and purpose live as one. When you live in oneness with abundance, you no longer chase miracles, you become one. You are the flow, you are the light, you are the source, you are abundance. Chapter 18. The Eternal Spiral, the never-ending journey of creation. Every ending is a beginning wearing new clothes. When a river reaches the ocean, it doesn't stop, it transforms into vapor, rises to the clouds, and falls again as rain. Creation is a spiral, not a straight line, and abundance moves within that spiral endlessly. You are part of that rhythm, the breath of expansion, the pulse of evolution, the unbroken current of life discovering itself through you. For thousands of years, human beings have searched for a finish line, enlightenment, freedom, wealth, completion. Yet every master eventually smiles and says the same thing: there is no finish line, there is only deeper awareness. Every time you reach what seems like the summit, a new horizon appears. Every truth opens the door to a greater one. Every victory births a new possibility. This is the eternal spiral, the journey of becoming that never ends. When you live with this understanding, life ceases to feel like a test you must pass. It becomes a dance you are invited to join. You stop measuring progress by milestones and begin to measure it by depth. How fully you experience the present, how freely you love, how courageously you grow. You stop chasing permanence and start embracing movement. You see that abundance was never about arrival, it was about aliveness. The eternal spiral is woven through everything. Galaxies spin, seasons cycle, the body renews itself cell by cell, economies rise and reset. Even emotions come in waves, joy follows sadness, calm follows storm, and both are needed to keep the rhythm of existence alive. If the universe itself never stops evolving, why should you? Stagnation is not peace, it is the denial of life's motion. Growth is not a phase, it is your nature. At this level of understanding, wealth and creation take on a new meaning. You no longer build simply to accumulate, you build to express. You create not because something is missing, but because creativity itself is the signature of your being. To exist is to generate. Whether through art, business, kindness, or innovation, Your essence longs to contribute. Every act of creation keeps the spiral of abundance turning. But this spiral is not only about outer achievement, it is also an inward journey. Each turn of the spiral calls you to shed what no longer fits the beliefs, identities, or fears that once served you, but now limit your expansion. As you evolve, the spiral lifts you higher and draws you deeper at the same time. Outwardly, you become capable of more. Inwardly, you become simpler, quieter, freer. There will be moments when the spiral feels like chaos. Old patterns dissolve, certainty disappears. These are not failures, they are recalibrations. The spiral is refining you for the next octave of growth. When everything feels uncertain, remember, the universe is rearranging itself to meet your new vibration. The storm is not the end of your creation. It is the clearing that makes new creation possible. In the earlier chapters, you learned how money reflects energy, how gratitude unlocks flow, how stillness reveals clarity. Now you see that these are not separate lessons, but harmonics in one grand composition. The eternal spiral plays all of them simultaneously. It invites you to move through expansion and rest, giving and receiving, creation and dissolution, each phase perfect, each necessary. To live consciously within the spiral, cultivate 3 understandings. 1. Everything returns but never the same. Life repeats patterns only to show you how much you've grown. The same challenge that once defeated you now meets a wiser version of yourself. The same opportunity that once scared you now excites you. Repetition is not regression, it is refinement. Every loop of the spiral carries new awareness. 2. You expand through expression, not possession. Holding on tight to money, to status, to identity locks you in place. Expression keeps you fluid. When you share your gifts, teach what you know, or invest in the growth of others, the spiral widens. What you release freely returns multiplied, carrying the imprint of evolution. 3. Surrender is movement. The spiral doesn't need pushing, it needs allowing. The more you trust the current, the faster you rise. Resistance creates friction, acceptance creates flow. Surrender is not giving up, it's giving over to the intelligence that has guided every sunrise since time began. When you integrate these truths, life feels weightless. You begin to see time differently, not as a line with a start and an end, but as an ever-turning wheel. Each moment contains eternity, because each moment is creation happening right now. The past and future collapse into the present. Here, abundance is always complete. In this awareness, relationships change too. You stop expecting permanence and start cherishing presence. You meet people as fellow travelers in the spiral. Some walk with you for a few steps, some for many lifetimes. Each exchange is sacred because each one contributes to your becoming. Love ceases to be possession and becomes recognition, the soul seeing itself in another form of the same energy. Work also transforms. The spiral teaches you that no creation is ever final. Every business, idea, or art piece is a chapter in your evolution. You release your projects to the world with gratitude, knowing they will evolve through others, and new inspiration will flow through you. Success no longer feels like climax, it feels like continuity. Even rest becomes creative. In stillness, the spiral gathers momentum. When you pause, you align. When you sleep, the subconscious rearranges patterns, preparing the next expansion. Rest is not the opposite of productivity, it is its foundation. The universe breathes in and out, so must you. Many fear impermanence, believing that change means loss. But the eternal spiral shows that nothing real is ever lost, it only changes form. The love you give becomes strength, The lessons you learn become wisdom. The energy you release returns as opportunity. Everything you are circulates through the infinite system of life and comes home expanded. To live as the eternal spiral is to become comfortable with infinity. You stop demanding closure and start honoring continuity. You understand that evolution is the point, not perfection. Even enlightenment is not an end. It is the awareness that the journey itself is sacred. When you reach this knowing, your relationship with abundance becomes effortless. You no longer chase, grasp, or even consciously attract. You simply are. Abundance moves through you as naturally as blood through veins. The more you align with life, the more life aligns with you. You become the meeting point of heaven and earth, the creator through which the infinite expresses itself in finite form. Every breath you take is a revolution of the spiral. Inhale creation, exhale contribution. Each cycle deepens your awareness of connection. You realize that the same intelligence animating galaxies is animating your heartbeat. The same abundance that sustains the cosmos sustains your every step. And so, the question is no longer, how can I multiply money? It becomes, how can I multiply meaning? How can I let every resource, money, talent, time, love, become an instrument for the evolution of life itself? When you live that way, you never fear the future. The spiral will continue long after your form dissolves, carrying your energy forward in unseen ways, through ideas you sparked, kindness you shared, consciousness you expanded. Legacy is not a monument, it is motion. Your life becomes part of the eternal momentum of creation. One day, you will look back not from the end of your life, but from a higher turn of the spiral and smile. You will see that every moment of fear, every act of faith, every seed of generosity was a precise step in the unfolding of your destiny. Nothing was wasted. Everything was woven. Every circle led upward. The eternal spiral asks nothing from you except participation. Keep creating, keep expanding, keep loving. Keep trusting that each revolution brings you closer to remembering what you already are, infinite consciousness in motion. You do not need to escape the cycle. You need only to dance with it freely, joyfully, endlessly. Because abundance is not a destination or a possession, it is the movement of life through life. It is the song of the universe humming itself through you, and that song never ends. So, breathe, expand, begin again. The spiral turns, and you turn with it, forever creating, forever becoming, forever abundant. You are the eternal spiral itself. Chapter 19. The Circle of Light, Returning Home to the Source. Everything that expands eventually returns. The wave that rises falls back into the sea. The breath you draw in must be released. After the outward journey of creation, mastery, and expansion, there comes a quiet turning inward, a homecoming. The circle of light is that return, the moment when you realize the source you were seeking has always been within you. All the laws, principles, and disciplines you have learned, mindset, energy, gratitude, stillness, creation, expansion are rays of one greater truth. They lead back to the center from which they emerged, the light of consciousness itself. That light is not metaphorical. It is literal energy, the same radiance that sustains galaxies and ignites the pulse of life in every cell of your body. It has been shining through you since the beginning of time. At the start of the path, you looked outward. You sought techniques to attract money, to multiply success, to manifest abundance. Those were necessary steps. The soul first learns through desire. It needs contrast to remember choice. But the more you grew, the more you sensed that abundance was not something to reach for, it was something to remember. The circle of light closes that arc of remembrance. Here, wealth ceases to be a goal and becomes illumination. You begin to see money, opportunity, and creativity as expressions of the same light wearing different masks. When you invest, you are simply guiding light into new forms. When you give, you are returning it to circulation. When you receive, you are allowing it to enter again. The light never stops moving, it only changes shape. To live in the circle of light is to live transparently, without the shadows of fear or the walls of control. You no longer hide parts of yourself in darkness. You allow every emotion, every memory, every experience to be touched by awareness. In that acceptance, even pain becomes luminous. You discover that nothing was ever negative or positive. It was simply energy waiting to be understood. This stage of the journey is less about doing and more about dissolving. You dissolve the boundaries between you and life, between the giver and the gift, between the dreamer and the dream. The ego, once obsessed with achievement, relaxes into service. The heart, once guarded, becomes a window instead of a wall. Light passes through effortlessly. When you live this way, peace arises naturally. Not the fragile peace that depends on quiet conditions, but the unshakable peace that remains even amid noise. You realize that life will continue to change, yet something in you never changes the witnessing awareness behind it all. That witnessing is the true source of abundance, because it is infinite. The more you rest in it, the more effortlessly the external world organizes itself around harmony. In practical life, this inner light expresses as clarity. Decisions become simple because you are no longer choosing from fear, you are responding from alignment. Work becomes joyful because you are not working for validation, you are channeling creativity. Relationships deepen because you are meeting others not from need, but from wholeness. Every area of life becomes a reflection of the same radiant equilibrium. The circle of light also transforms your perception of loss. What the mind calls loss, the light calls transition. Money spent, time gone, opportunities missed, all of it returns in another form. Energy cannot vanish, it only evolves. Once you truly know this, you never feel impoverished again. You see endings as gateways, closures as continuations. You stop gripping, and because you stop gripping, life can place more in your open hands. This return to source is not a retreat from the world. It is a re-entry into it with new eyes. When you act from the awareness of light, even ordinary tasks carry sacredness. Writing an email, cooking a meal, speaking to a stranger, each becomes a chance to infuse consciousness into form. The smallest gestures ripple outward, unseen yet unstoppable. You no longer separate spiritual and material life. The two are one flow expressed through different textures. Sometimes people fear that awakening will strip them of desire, that they will stop caring about progress or prosperity. The opposite happens. Desire refines into purpose. You still create, but your creations serve harmony rather than ego. You still enjoy wealth, but you see it as stewardship rather than status. You still dream, but your dreams uplift rather than isolate. The light doesn't erase individuality, it illuminates it. Every circle of light has a center, and that center is silence. Within silence, you meet the origin of all energy. Meditation, prayer, contemplation. These are ways of returning to that inner sun. Sit quietly each day, even for a few minutes, and feel the pulse behind your breath. That rhythm is the universe reminding you, I am here, I am you. From that still point, everything you create will carry coherence. You will no longer be pushing against life, but moving with its heartbeat. In this state, gratitude becomes constant luminosity. You no longer thank life only when things go well, you thank it simply for existing. You walk through the world whispering inwardly, "Thank you for this breath. Thank you for this lesson. Thank you for this moment." Gratitude is the language of light. It turns every circumstance into opportunity and every challenge into grace. And grace, once recognized, multiplies faster than any currency. It draws people, ideas, and synchronicities into your orbit. You will notice that those around you begin to feel lighter too. They may not know why, but your presence becomes medicine. Light shared is light strengthened. The circle of light is, ultimately, the realization that you were never separate from the source you call God, universe, or life. You are a ray of that source, temporarily condensed into human form to experience creation from the inside. When this truth becomes more than an idea, when it becomes your living experience, fear evaporates. You no longer seek protection because you are the protection. You no longer beg for miracles because you are the miracle. You no longer chase abundance because you are its expression. From this awareness, creation continues, but without strain. You can build empires or plant gardens, lead nations or paint in solitude, it makes no difference. The quality of your presence, not the quantity of your output, becomes your legacy. You start to measure success by how much light passes through your life, untouched, unblocked, unbroken. And when you reach the outer rim of the circle, when your body grows old, your work complete, the light simply changes frequency again. You return to the invisible, joining the greater radiance from which you came. Your energy doesn't end, it integrates. The love you've given remains as warmth in others' hearts. The wisdom you've shared continues to guide unseen. The abundance you've circulated keeps moving through generations. You dissolve back into the source, not as a loss of self, but as reunion with all selves. That is the meaning of the circle of light: creation, expansion, return, and rebirth forever. You are the traveler and the trail, the flame and its glow, the drop and the ocean. To remember this is to be free. So breathe in the light. Breathe out the light. Give freely, receive gracefully. Act with love, rest in silence. Let your life be a clear channel for the infinite to flow through. And know, with every heartbeat, that you have already come home. You are the source, the reflection, and the return. You are the circle of light. Chapter 20. The infinite horizon beyond wealth, beyond self. Stand at the edge of the ocean at dawn, and you'll see it, the line where sea meets sky, where colors blur, and beginnings and endings lose meaning. That is the infinite horizon, the meeting point of form and formlessness, of human striving and divine stillness. After all, the lessons, the growth, the mastery, the return to the source, there remains one more realization. There is no end to becoming. The universe doesn't conclude, it continues. The horizon keeps moving as you move toward it, not to frustrate you, but to remind you that expansion is eternal. Every truth you discover opens into a greater one. Every peak you climb reveals a higher mountain, and every completion whispers, "There is more." The infinite horizon is the living proof that abundance has no boundary, not in money, not in purpose, not in consciousness. You have already learned that wealth begins in the mind, circulates through energy, compounds through skill, and multiplies through gratitude and giving. You've learned to manage, manifest, and master it. But here, at the horizon, you see something larger. Wealth was never about ownership, it was about participation. You were never meant to possess abundance. You were meant to become a vessel through which it could express infinitely. At this stage, your sense of I begins to soften. The self that once measured, calculated, and compared starts to dissolve into the whole. You still function as an individual. You earn, create, and give, but you know deeply that you are not separate from the total movement of existence. Your success belongs not to you alone, but to the current of consciousness that flows through everyone. You have become both creator and creation. When you live from this awareness, every action becomes sacred. You no longer ask, "What can I gain?" You ask, "What can I give to the unfolding of life itself?" Work becomes worship. Service becomes joy. Even the smallest task, a conversation, a touch, a thought, is recognized as a chance to contribute to the harmony of the whole. Nothing is wasted because everything is woven. The infinite horizon invites you to see abundance not as accumulation, but as artistry. You are painting with existence itself, each thought a color, each emotion a texture, each act a brushstroke on the canvas of time. Money, success, and achievement are pigments in that creation, but they are not the masterpiece. The masterpiece is the awareness with which you create. From this point, gratitude matures into reverence. You no longer thank the universe for specific blessings. You live in constant awe of the intelligence that orchestrates everything. You sense that even the things you don't understand are part of a perfect rhythm. The challenges that once scared you now feel like invitations to deepen. The moments of loss reveal new dimensions of love. The rhythm of giving and receiving becomes music instead of mathematics. And the music never stops. It only shifts keys. Every time you think you've reached the summit, life lifts the horizon again. Not to exhaust you, but to expand you. You begin to see that the soul's journey is not linear. It's a spiral that moves outward and inward at once, carrying you into greater universes of meaning. Each phase of abundance leads you to another layer of realization, from security to freedom, from freedom to service, from service to unity, from unity to infinity. To live at the infinite horizon is to live beyond fear, because there is nothing left to lose. You've already recognized that the source of all things is within you. Now you see that even the you within is not separate from the source. You are consciousness aware of itself, playing through form. When this becomes experiential, not intellectual, life becomes effortless. You stop trying to direct the flow and start embodying it. Money still comes and goes, but it feels like wind through trees, movement without resistance. You still build, but you build lightly. You still plan, but you plan playfully. The heaviness of control disappears because you trust the intelligence that guides everything. You no longer ask life for guarantees. You meet it with curiosity. Each day becomes a discovery of what the universe wants to experience through you. At this level, abundance becomes multidimensional. It's not only material or emotional, it's spiritual, creative, relational, and cosmic. You begin to sense abundance in silence, in breath, in the space between words. You understand that prosperity is not measured by possessions, but by presence. When you are fully here, awake, aware, and available, life itself becomes wealth. The infinite horizon also brings a new kind of responsibility, not heavy duty, but joyful stewardship. You start asking, how can I use my awareness to serve evolution? Because when consciousness awakens in one being, it radiates through countless others. Your clarity becomes collective clarity. Your peace calms the field around you. Your abundance uplifts those still trapped in scarcity. You become a beacon, not through effort, but through being. This is where true leadership is born. A leader of the infinite horizon doesn't lead by authority but by presence. People feel safe in their energy because it carries no demand. Their wealth uplifts without flaunting. Their words inspire without preaching. They know that the most powerful way to teach abundance is to embody it silently. The world changes not through instruction, but through resonance. To live in this way, humility becomes as important as mastery. The more deeply you realize your creative power, the more gently you walk. You no longer need to prove or possess anything. You bow not out of submission, but out of reverence. You recognize every person, every creature, every moment as another expression of the same infinite intelligence. And so, your interactions become blessings. Your silence becomes transmission. Sometimes the mind will still ask, "If I am infinite, what now?" And the answer comes softly, "Now, live." Live with awareness. Live with wonder. Live as the open sky through which all experiences pass. Don't look for a final achievement. Look for deeper aliveness. The infinite horizon isn't a place to reach. It's the realization that every moment is the horizon itself, unfolding forever. Here, time loses its grip. You start to sense eternity not as endless duration, but as depth within the present. The past and future fold into now, and now stretches beyond imagination. This is the true meaning of immortality, not living forever in form, but realizing that form itself is a temporary ripple on the surface of infinite consciousness. From this space, even death loses its edge. You understand that what you truly are cannot end because it never began. The body, the story, the journey all dissolve back into light. Just as waves dissolve back into the ocean, what remains is the awareness that watched it all, the same awareness that is reading these words now. You were never inside life. Life was always inside you. And so, the infinite horizon is not a conclusion. It is the open sky beyond all conclusions. It's the reminder that no matter how much you learn, earn, or evolve, there is always more to discover, more to love, more to give, more to become. Infinity is not something you reach, it's what you already are, glimpsed through the clarity of awakening. When you look back over your journey through every chapter of learning, growing, creating, returning, you will see that abundance was never a thing to master. It was the thread that connected you to the whole tapestry of existence. Money, time, opportunity, relationships. They were all languages through which the universe taught you about yourself. And now you understand the lesson. You are both the tapestry and the thread. So stand at your own horizon. Feel the wind of possibility moving through you. Let your dreams stretch beyond the edge of reason. Create boldly, love deeply, give endlessly, and rest often. Know that there is no competition in infinity. There is only expression. Every soul adds a unique note to the cosmic symphony, and the music would be incomplete without yours. You are not finishing a journey. You are entering a wider circle of creation. The horizon will keep calling, the spiral will keep turning, and the light will keep guiding you home through every new beginning. You cannot fall out of grace because grace is the fabric of your being. You cannot lose abundance because abundance is your essence. You cannot end because you are endless. The infinite horizon is your true inheritance, the realization that the adventure of life is eternal, and you are both explorer and eternity itself. So go forward, not to seek what's missing, but to celebrate what's infinite. The universe is still expanding, and so are you. There are no endings, only wider skies, only deeper love, only more light.